HBM's Crypto Corner for Wednesday, September 6, 2023. We have quite a few things to talk about, so let's get started. Well, a video says that an expedition has filmed a mystery creature in Lake Tahoe. Let's check the video out.
You want to help him load up?
Just after sunrise, Chase Petley and a couple of his friends met up with the Edmonds family to head out on Lake Tahoe. While most summer days the Edmonds sail around the top of the lake, today they were taking Petley out on a bit of an amateur research mission to see what lies beneath.
I'm looking for anything that's interesting. I'm looking for wildlife. I'm looking for beautiful landscapes. I'm just looking for anything that would get people interested in Lake Tahoe.
Petley has designed and built his own waterproof device to house a GoPro camera and powerful custom LED light, all capable of withstanding the pressure at Tahoe's deepest points. The Edmonds volunteered to take Petley out of curiosity.
And there's so many stories about what's at the bottom of Lake Tahoe and what's in here. And to have a camera go down and show us, I'm on board. I want to know what's going on.
When we get to the spot they want to explore,
Can you drop a pin on the GPS so we know exactly where we are right now?
the first location near the crook in the state line,
Ready, everyone? Here we go.
Let's go.
Petley drops the missile-shaped device overboard and lets it fall to the bottom.
So it's going to be going down this fast for a while.
Here the lake is more than a quarter of a mile deep. The camera records the whole way down, the image getting darker blue as the sunlight disappears. It is so deep, it takes more than 4 minutes to travel to the bottom. What we see when the camera gets to the end of the line may not look all that impressive, the muddy bed of Lake Tahoe, but it's still an achievement. This is one of the deepest points of the lake ever seen by humans. Other submersibles and scuba divers have brought back underwater video and pictures from shallower points. The University of Northern Illinois tried to examine the fault line at the bottom of the lake 3 years ago, but never made it because of technical problems. Researchers and historians we talked to believe Petley is the first to record video from the lake's deepest levels.
It's always exciting because every time we do it, everything's new.
At 22 miles long and 12 miles wide, this is just one location, and Petley is anxious to explore more. Lake Tahoe's water may be renowned for its clarity, but at its depths, it still holds many mysteries and lore. Are there mob grave sites, unidentified creatures, underwater tunnels connecting it to other lakes? Finding the exact spot to look is the hard part. There's no live feed from the bottom, so they don't know exactly what they've got until they reel it back up. Before the second drop of the day, Petley's crew added a glow stick and a can of sardines, hoping it might attract whatever lurks in Tahoe's deep waters.
Camera is on, lights on.
3, 2, 1.
It drops in and the reel spins for several more minutes as it plunges to the bottom. Again, more mud. But here we notice something swim by the lens. With the silt blocking our view, it's impossible to see clearly or identify what kind of fish it is. On another dive, though, Petley's camera caught this.
We found a large fish while we were videotaping at 1,100 feet, and we don't know exactly what it is.
Fish researchers said while the animal looks remarkably shark-like, including the way it moves, experts at UC Davis believe it is most likely a very large lake trout. Petley is hoping to expand and refine his project to explore more of the lake bed.
I definitely think there's species or life at the bottom of Tahoe that we don't know about.
And ultimately answer many of the questions about what lies below Lake Tahoe. On Lake Tahoe, Kevin Oliver, KCRA 3 News.
Very interesting. What kind of fish is it? I mean, we really don't know for sure. That's a pretty neat looking camera, though. I have to say that much. It's a pretty neat looking device to be able to film underwater with. Very cool stuff. What could they have gotten on film? Who knows? Maybe it is just a trout. But it seems to be shark-like. There are no sharks in Lake Tahoe that we know of. So, what could it be? Who knows? Well, you guys remember I talked quite a bit last week about Loch Ness Monster and an expedition that was undertaken about 2 weeks ago. Apparently, there's been a new sighting of the Loch Ness Monster captured in most exciting photos ever. More on Loch Ness Monster. A quote-unquote sighting of the Loch Ness Monster has resulted in photos being called the most exciting ever by those on the hunt for the fabled creature. Photos which show a serpent-like animal with its body on the surface of the loch were actually taken in 2018, but photographer Chi Kelly, 51, kept them to herself in fear of public ridicule. However, now there is a huge ongoing search for the famed water beast. The largest Loch Ness hunt in 50 years, Kelly, a translator, was convinced to put the photos out to the world. This happened on August 13, 2018. Here's one of the photographs right here. There's another one. What could it be? Could that actually be Nessie? Never saw a head or neck. After a couple of minutes, it just disappeared and we never saw it again. Now, this is the photographer. She was apparently photographing her husband and her daughter when she caught these images. Now, I have to say, if they are images of Nessie, they're the clearest that have ever been taken. If they're not a hoax, of course. And I'm not saying that the photographer herself hoaxed them. Of course, here is the classic photo, which could be just a submarine, a toy submarine of some sort. Here's another photo. I believe I discussed this one already. I think I've seen this photograph. This is interesting. Quite fascinating if these are indeed photos of Nessie. Interesting indeed. Now here's something interesting. Human and ape ancestors arose in Europe, not in Africa, controversial study claims. A newly described fossil suggests that the ancestor of humans and apes arose in Europe, not in Africa. They call it Anadolivius turcae. Ape fossil found in Turkey may controversially suggest that the ancestors of African apes and humans first evolved in Europe before migrating to Africa, a research team says in a new study. The proposal breaks with the conventional view that hominines The group that includes humans, the African apes, chimps, bonobos, and gorillas, and their fossil ancestors originated exclusively in Africa. However, the discovery of several hominine fossils in Europe and Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, has already led some researchers to argue that hominines first evolved in Europe. This view suggests that hominines later dispersed into Africa between 7 million and 9 million years ago. And the study co-senior author is David Began, who has appeared on a couple of Sasquatch documentaries. He's very skeptical about Sasquatch. Still, this is quite interesting, quite fascinating. Could this overturn the frequently thought about theory that humans and apes evolved from Africa and not Europe? From Europe and not Africa? It could, who knows? Very, very interesting and very fascinating. Two entities believed to be Bigfoot spotted in Yellowstone National Park. They are way off in the distance. Yellowstone National Park might not seem a likely spot for Sasquatch to hang out, considering there are about 3 million human visitors roaming the land every year. But how much of the 3,500 square miles is really explored by tourists? People enjoy measuring themselves as Robert Frost exploring the road less traveled. But Frost's poem is an overappreciated mediocrity that glorifies the author's desire to be unique and do something different without actually having to deal with the difficulties of trekking a new path. Both paths were used the same, other than in his mind. National parks are a bit like that, with tourists generally staying in the touristy areas and not really venturing that far off the path. Could Bigfoot be hiding in such a highly visited location?
Bear.
Okay, the guy just said bear, not Sasquatch. Really hard to tell from that distance if they're walking upright or not. A video that began circulating August 3rd that purports to show two of the legendary cryptids is alleged to have been shown to park rangers to confirm what they saw. What they saw was two Bigfoot creatures crossing a field in the distance. Considering the tiny dots are barely visible, the park ranger aspect has similar vibes to that retired FBI agent who would lie to people and say he was sending the X-Files unit to investigate. The video could be showing two bears or even just two human hikers. There's no way to know. That's very true. It's just too much of a distance to be able to say one way or the other exactly what that's supposed to be. And the person filming says bear.
Bear.
See? Now my question is, why didn't this guy try to zoom in on them? If they're supposed to be Sasquatch, why didn't he zoom in? That's my question. It almost raises a red flag about this video, and the possibility that it's most likely just a couple of bears or a couple of humans hiking through the park. I would have tried to zoom in myself, unless that was zoomed in, who knows. It looked like he was filming with his phone. And generally, phones don't have the greatest zoom on them. A regular camera would, but obviously he was filming with his phone, you can tell. So, what did he film? We don't know. The distance is too great to be able to say one way or the other, whether it's Sasquatch, bear, or humans. We just can't tell. And it seems like that pesky old massacre theory just will not go away, referring to the possibility that there were Sasquatch shot and killed at Bluff Creek on October 20th, 1967, or possibly in the summer, according to M.K. Davis. I'm going to include the link below to the report by the late Bill Miller, and also with help from Thomas Steenberg. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that there was anything like a massacre that happened. I don't believe it. I was there at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference in 2008 when M.K. Davis debuted this madness. And to clarify, no, he did not call it a massacre, but he doesn't disagree with it. A person who shall remain nameless was the first one that said to me personally that there was a massacre, or that there was allegedly a massacre, I should say. So I'll include the link to this so you guys can peruse it for yourself. It's a very well written article. I've read it several times. Bill did a great job. Bill and Thomas, I should say, because Thomas helped out with it. But the massacre is it's just rank insanity. It really is. The thought to even think that that would be possible, and to think that Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin, John Green, and Bob Titmus and Renee Hendon had anything to do with it. Most of them are passed on, of course, now, except for Bob Gimlin. And I do not believe that there was a massacre. I just don't believe it myself. I just don't personally believe it. But that's just me. And in a Pakistani city, apparently, after escaping from a gang of smugglers, an out-of-place lion was roaming the streets. Here's the video. Now that would be a pretty scary sight to see something like that roaming around. A gang of miscreants attempting to smuggle a lion through a Pakistani city saw their plan go up in smoke when the big cat escaped from their vehicle and wound up roaming the streets. The bizarre incident reportedly occurred on Tuesday evening. That would be last Tuesday, I guess, during rush hour in Karachi. Normally bustling traffic in the city came to a screeching halt when motorists realized that they were sharing the streets with an out-of-place lion that had appeared out of nowhere. As one might imagine, the presence of the big cat sparked something of a panic among residents as one man was nearly attacked by the creature. Sheesh. That's nuts. That's crazy. Oh, man. Man. Like I say, it's an out-of-place animal. It's not necessarily a cryptid. I'm also going to report on out-of-place animals as well as cryptids. What some people won't do in this world. I'm also including a link to a blog post which was written over 20 years ago about the X Creatures program, the extremely biased X Creatures program about Bigfoot and Yeti. This is more about the Bigfoot part. Basically, this is an analysis of that program, the program which was extremely biased against Sasquatch and took a very, very skeptical view of the possibility of Sasquatch. And this is also the program which ostensibly recreated exactly the Patterson Gimlin film, even though it did nothing of the sort. I suppose it was good enough for Chris Packham and his group of producers and directors and things of that nature. But you guys can check it out for yourself and read this for yourself. It's good stuff. And here is another article about the woman in Scotland who revealed her fantastic photos of a mysterious creature in Loch Ness. So there you go. Oh, you guys might want to check it out. Again, here's an article from Arkansas.com, the official website of the natural state. Falk, Bigfoot capital of Arkansas, updated September 2021. Here's the mural in front of the Monster Mart. Mayor of Falk recently made a declaration deeming Falk the Bigfoot capital of Arkansas. Well, I won't argue with that. The small town, located in the southwest corner of the state around 15 miles from Texarkana, is well known for the Falk monster of the Lishnaboggy Creek fame. There's also the Monster Mart. Here's a picture of it. But yeah, this is an interesting article. It's a short article about Falk, Arkansas, and the Falk monster. So I guess you guys can check it out if you want. And here's an article, I'm going to link to this article from the Outdoorsman magazine, September-October 2013. Article written by Christopher L. Murphy with assistance from Dr. Jeff Meldrum and Todd Prescott. Now, I actually have a copy of this magazine in my collection, and it's pretty cool. It's cool to have it. But this is a PDF of the article itself for everybody to read. This is from the SasquatchCanada.com website. It's good stuff. And finally, Montana man explains his hyperfixation interest in Bigfoot. Weird, quirky interests make people cooler as adults. Why are people so fascinated with the legendary cryptid Bigfoot? It's a great story. Human-like creatures that exist on the fringes of the known with human levels of intelligence, of which nearly every culture all over the globe has tales. That is quality legend material right there. The subject ties together anthropology with oral histories and sprinkles on a little cryptozoology mystery before tying it all up with a bow of exploration in the remaining wildlands. It's no wonder that it can be a fun subject of hyperfixation for so many folks. And one storyteller from Montana outlines why he finds the wild, giant, hairy forest people of legend to be so compelling.
Ready for an info dump. So, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeren, Yeti, Almas, Orang Pendek. There's literally hundreds of these things. Every major continent, every major people group in the world, as far as I can find, has stories of large, hairy, hominid-shaped things. Sometimes they're not so much ape, but most of the time they are ape-ish. I'm a pretty firm believer if something shows up in every single culture in the world, or the vast majority of them, they at least existed at one point. If you go looking through Native American folklore, so many tribes, if not all of them, I'm not sure all do, but a ton of the tribes in North America have differing stories on big hairy men of the forest, basically. Some are friendly and are basically guardians or helpers of the people. Others are not friendly and kidnap women and children and eat people. Some people think that they are a relic humanoid species, relic hominid species. So basically, between us and what is widely accepted as Neanderthal. Some people believe they're interdimensional beings. I am not one of those. I don't think they're interdimensional or extraterrestrial. I don't think they're an alien. Some people do. Crazy enough, some people think that they are basically descendants of the biblical Nephilim. You know, the angels mixed with humans. Mostly my opinion is, I think they're a hyper-intelligent animal that has realized over the generations humans are bad. Humans are scary. The more we interact with humans, the more we die. So, let's just not interact with humans at all. I think they're smart enough to basically avoid detection almost all the time. Maybe they don't quite understand how far cameras can reach. That's why sometimes we pick them up like in the Yellowstone clips, two big things walking upright way out in Yellowstone. I'm not saying it was Sasquatch and Bigfoot, but I'm not saying it wasn't. Some people think that they can actually see infrared light. That's why they don't get caught on trail cams very much. But when you dive into the stories and the encounters that people have, it's just... it's too consistent, to me, to be false. Especially when you start getting into the recordings of, especially their vocalizations, where high-ranking officials in like linguistics are saying, that's a language. Like, we can hear language in it when we slow it down and we look at it and we say, yes, there is a language existing in what you're hearing. It's not something a human could do, though. The vocalizations are too fast and the range is too high for the human voice to go and too low. Like, it's just... I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. which maybe you guys want that. I don't know. Let me know.
Cool. So I think he was referring to the studies by R. Scott Nelson about the possible language. That's pretty cool stuff. I mean, this guy, he obviously has done his homework on Sasquatch. He could have a very large Sasquatch book collection. But yeah, this is some cool stuff. I'll include the link to this as well, of course. By the way, I want to report on the Ohio Bigfoot Conference 2024. Speakers announced so far are Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Darby Orcutt, and Cliff Bergman. And the Master of Ceremonies will be Adam Davis. I'm sure Mark will have more updates as the days progress and as the months progress as well. That being Mark DeWorth. So, I'm hoping I'll get to go this next year too. Hopefully. Hopefully I'll get to go. Crossing my fingers. But anyway, that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the heart of the show. I always say that, but I always mean it. Now we'll continue as long as you guys want me to. And hey, until next week, y'all be good or be good at it. This is HBM's Crypto Corner.